All right. Well, hi, everybody. Today I have David with me. David is an appraiser. And David, can you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, I'm David Dietrich, and I'm a certified residential appraiser in the state of California. And I've been appraising 31 years in the South Bay area.
Oh my God, 31 years. You've seen when homes were what, $300,000?
Yeah, I wish I would have bought a lot more then.
Yes, I know, right? Well, who would you believe that this is what you're gonna see in 30 years if somebody would told you?
No.
That's insane. All right, so guys, today we're going to talk about appraisal. This is a mysterious process that a lot of people feel very intimidated from and afraid when they hear this scary world, because right now we're in a very, very competitive sellers market, and a lot of buyers are waiving their appraisals. And we're going to talk about today, what does it mean? What is appraisal? What's the difference between appraisal and assessment? And why do you need it? So today, David, can you just tell me briefly, why do we need appraisal? Who orders it? What is this?
Mainly, most people understand it for the finance of the home, for either the purchase transaction or a refinance transaction. And those are the main purposes for the appraisal, is to establish the amount of equity and the amount of property that the loan will support.
Awesome. So primarily people need it if they're taking a loan or they want to start new loan, refinance for better terms, basically, right?
Yeah, use as collateral.
Got it. Can I order appraisal just for my own, like satisfy my own curiosity if I want to know how much my home worth?
Yeah, definitely. And people do it for a number of reasons. People get appraisals also for if somebody passes within the family or a trust situation. Of course, divorce is another purpose for it, or if you're settling, let's say there's partners that are trying to sell a property to the other partner, or, so there's a number of different situations that it's just, establishing the value to carry on with, these type of transactions.
Got it. So private party or individual can just go directly to you and order an appraisal. They don't have to go through.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Got it. And are there different criteria that you're using depending on the purpose of the appraisal?
Only in situations where your client would want a different situation. So if they're asking for, let's say, a foreclosure type value, or if you're looking for an appraisal that's on a previous date in the past, okay. Or you also have, for instance, situations like if we added $100,000 worth of improvements, what would be the worth of the home at that point? But typically, if we're doing it for, let's say, a finance purpose, or if we're doing it for, let's say, a private purpose, for the same specific date, and they both want market value as defined, then there's really not there's not any difference.
Got it. So how is it different, the appraisal and assessment, which is done by assessor from the county for the taxes?
Well, in the state of California, you have Prop 13, which establishes the assessment when you purchase, and then they maximally can raise it 2% a year. And so the assessment that you see on your assessment card a couple of years after you've purchased is no longer has any real consistency with the actual value of the home. It's mainly what you purchased the home for, or what they assessed it when you did purchase, because that can actually be different.
Yeah.
And then added 2% because the market's been going up, or they might not add 2%, depending on what the market is doing for that last year.
Got it. So when people assume that their taxes will be based on the price that they purchased the home, it's actually not completely accurate, right? This value will be, it can be reassessed after some time and it can change.
They assess it right at that time of the sale, and that establishes where you are at the time of sale. So, but they can actually assess it for a different amount than what you purchased it for. And because they could believe that, oh, he got a really good deal, or they could believe that the other direction, which doesn't really happen often.
Right.
But it does happen the other direction, where they say, oh, we don't believe that you bought it for market value, and that here's your assessment for 200,000 over what you purchased it for.
Yeah.
And then we do an appraisal and help them out in going to the county tax and trying to defend them in the county assessor's office.
Oh, so you can actually use the appraisal reports to argue with the assessor.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, we do that as well.
Okay, well, interesting. So what is the main factor that determines the price, the value?
Values mainly, you hear, of course, location, and a lot of the location value is, what type of schools that are in that location, what kind of amenities are in that location, and what are the other homes like in that location. And so location's a big factor in that. And then we look at what's happening of what time of where are we at in that timeline that we're looking at all the time now, when our values are climbing, and so that's a factor as well when you're dealing in appraisal, to determine whether or not a sale that you're using as a comparable should have a time adjustment, and those can be in either direction as well.
So how often do you need to adjust for the time? Pretty like every week it's changing, every month?
Yeah, it's pretty often now. Well, it's mainly based on the information that you have available to within the appraisal. So you're going to use comparable sales typically in the residential market. You're going to use comparable sales that are the best that you can find, and those are going to be most similar location. Let's say they have the most similar improvements in the home. I mean, of course, that's another factor. Is it remodeled or not remodeled? Is it this size or that size? And so you're matching it up the best that you're able to find with the size of the home, the size of the lot, the location, the age, and determining that, okay, these are my best 6 or my best 8. And then some will be a little old, and there'll be some appreciation in the market since that has sold. So then you would thus make a time adjustment based on charts and graphs and the best information we have, the statistics that we have to adjust it for, for either a rising market or a declining market sometimes.
Let's hope we'll see some at least normalizing markets soon. I'm not even hoping for declining. I just want to see some balance.
Yeah, stable is nice for appraisers.
Right. When did you see a stable market last time in Bay Area?
It depends. Every neighborhood is a little bit different, but through the pandemic, it wasn't too bad. It was pretty stable just because we had a lack of people wanting to sell and probably a lack of people that wanted to buy. So we ran into some pretty good stability there. And
it was a good time to buy, definitely. Looking back, huh?
Yeah, but it does happen. And sometimes it goes up and goes down. It's sometimes looking a little bit more like our stock than it is a housing market.
Yeah. So, well, location, we know, everybody knows location. That's the main thing that's going to determine the value of your home. That you cannot change, of course. But what is there that seller potentially can do that will make a difference on the value of their home? Because sometimes people will say, well, I put a new water heater, or I have new windows installed, or have new counters. Does it really make a significant difference on the value of the home?
Yeah, I think some of the main things to do is probably fix anything that's broken, because I think that those have the biggest negative effect on a home, more than anything. And so to get that home inspection probably previous to putting it on the market and creating a very clean home inspection by fixing those items and having the home inspector, come back to see that those items are fixed and give you a nice clean report. I think that that's a huge factor. And then, going from there, working on outdated things that are within the home, let's say an outdated bathroom or an outdated kitchen, or possibly a not so attractive fireplace that just looks from the 70s rather than something a little bit more current.
Wow. I would not think that fireplace would have effect on the price, but that's good to know. Yeah, that's, I always recommend sellers to conduct inspections before, do those safety and health, at least repairs, what we call the necessary ones, and redo the report. It definitely makes a difference. But in this super hot seller market, a lot of sellers think whatever is going to sell anyway, people going to buy it. Is that, correct way to approach, or you think that still even in this market it can make a difference on the net dollars that they can get in their pocket?
I think every property is a little different. And so, I mean, if your house is pretty bad off and you're not getting it anywhere by fixing things, and there's still a tremendous amount of problems, or it can be a lost cause in that regard, because let's say a person that coming in is going to do, a renovation, then there is possibility, there is positions that you can be in that it doesn't really help you to fix some minor items when, there's large items that need to be fixed. If you have a foundation that's got some real issues and you're, changing the countertops, it's probably, not really the best decision. So it really depends on, what kind of items are needing to be fixed. Where are you at in that whole frame of how nice the house is or not. And but if they're mostly like cosmetic items, then even a good paint job is going to bring you quite a bit more money than it's going to cost you in most cases. So if we're talking about most cases, you can rationally say, yeah, you're going to get your money back plus,
Right.
2 or 3-fold, just making the home very clean for a new buyer, so they don't have to do remodeling right away. Plenty will do remodeling right away, but if you're clean enough and nice enough that a person can buy and utilize that bathroom or that kitchen for 3 or 4 more years, I think that brings you additional buyers, which of course brings you higher money.
Absolutely, I agree. So tell me about the process itself, the appraisal, the day off. What do sellers need to know about the appointment itself? If they live in the house, how do they need to prepare? Do they need to do anything special? How long does it take? Just a little bit about it.
Typically, a typical inspection is probably about a half an hour to a full hour, depending on the size of the home. We tend to measure the exterior of the home, and so possibly getting intrusions away from the house so an appraiser can get around your home is probably important, especially if you have things that are in their way that they could trip on, or so they can't get to a particular side of the house. Okay. So it might be real important to just allow, make sure that they can get all the way around the house, to, get a decent measurement. For most finance appraisals, they want a photo of each side of the house. They want a photo of each room. They want a photo of the water heater. They want a photo of a CO detector and a smoke detector. If I've been asked recently that they want the smoke detectors to be legal, to code, which would mean that you would want a smoke detector in each bedroom and then also in the main area, and a CO detector on each level of the home. The water heater should be strapped with 2 straps if it's a tank, and not necessary if it's a tankless. So those are factors that somebody can easily fix before the appraiser gets there, and that way there's nothing that's going to hold up the loan. And if you end up with a reinspection, that can be additionally costly,
and time delay of closing of escrow, which can also cost buyers and sellers additionally.
Right. Yeah. If you're dealing in sales, one other factor is outlet covers. Anything that's not covered as an electrical outlet, whether or not it be a plug or a switch or a lamp, like a light that's not there, is a safety issue, and all it needs is a $1 cover with a screw.
That's interesting.
And these things can save a tremendous amount of time and expense for a buyer's appraisal situation.
Got it. So things like a lot of people now adding ceiling lights, recessed lights, are those improve any value at all, or this is just cosmetic?
Yeah, I would think so, because they're cosmetic, and one, because they're a lot of times removing let's say popcorn ceilings while doing it, and then that's what people desire. So they want recessed lighting, they want good lighting in most rooms, and so those are improving the value of the house.
And that's very low cost relatively to amount of value and impression it makes on the potential buyer.
Yeah, unless you end up doing your electrical panel as well.
Well, yeah.
Watch out for the electrical panel that's needed, because the additional lighting sort of flips that switch, where they're like, oh, wait a second, you need a new electrical box, which thus ups the price, but well worth it, because now you have a nice electrical system on the home as well. So everything adds value, and I'm certain a lot of people like a nice electrical system to feel safe.
For sure, especially now, a lot of people have electrical cars, and that is a big factor now, when people considering buying a home, and that's now people want garages again. They used to convert garage to some living space, but now people need to plug their cars to charge, and that new electrical panel definitely significant value for many people. So I'm going to make a list and drop it in this description of the video of the improvements that have a good return on your investment to help you determine where, if you are going to improve something before sale, where should you allocate your budget. Okay, so David, one more question. So you mentioned again location. How important is it to hire an appraiser that is from your area and knows your, that market, that micro market? Sometimes we have appraisers coming from Sacramento, from Modesto. Does it matter? Do you only look at the comps? Does knowing the area makes a difference?
Yeah, it's a big factor. It's in regards to neighborhood boundaries, in regards to which schools that the property belongs to, as well as the comparables that belong, which schools do they belong to. And we have large jumps in value just crossing a street, just because one's going to this school and the other one's going to that school. So these things are big factors, as well as the amount to adjust for. I mean, they're totally different markets, and somebody that doesn't understand where they're at can really mess up a situation. They also don't have the appreciation situations. They're at different times. A Sacramento market or a Modesto market compared to San Jose can really be just different things going on at different times. So it's really important to, have a local appraiser, and that knows that locale.
Yeah, so that's a great tip that you taught me that I actually didn't know, that the agent or person who hires the appraiser, the buyer or the seller, they can actually fire, so to speak, appraiser if they find out he's not from the area, and they can call the bank and ask to send someone who is local. I didn't know that, so that was a great tip, and it helps to get the homes appraised and people to get their loans at the value and close the deals. So that was awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Factors like, some agents I know, they do come to the appraisals and they bring their comps, and some don't. Does it make a difference? This is something that I want especially buyers to pay attention and ask your agent. Is your agent going to attend the appraisal? And the agent might say it doesn't matter. So let's hear from the professional. Does it matter or not?
I think it does. I think that if you bring comparables to a purchase transaction to give to an appraiser, I think that it allows the appraiser to maybe have something that's not in his stack of comparables that you may feel is comparable, but he might not feel is comparable. But then he may rethink his position, and rethinking your position after you've seen the house and it's right there available. He can make that change right there. If he doesn't have the information at that time, sometimes appraisers will get lazy and not include something that was easily, because we got to take photos of each home that we use as comparables. We do that typically directly after we see the house, and it just overall makes it easier.
You have to go physically to that address of comparable home and take a photo?
Yeah, we have to take a physical photo of each home, mainly to see the actual location and whether or not there's any locational factors, as well as we get a good insight to what kind of condition the property is, or or that if we're crossing a major road to get there, is it in the right neighborhood or not? And so we're kind of seeing all these factors as we have to drive the comparable properties.
Awesome.
So that's
No, I have no idea that you had to physically go and take a photo of the comparable home. That's a lot of work. Okay, well, thank you. I'm learning every time we talk, and there's something new. Thank you so much.
mhm.
In regards to pending sales, I hear different opinions, and I even heard from brokers that were telling me pendings don't matter. Don't ever bring pending sales to appraisal. And I've noticed that actually I would get phone calls from the appraisers asking me on my listing for how much it was sold when it's still pending. So I always bring pendings and I call the agents to ask what was the price. Sometimes they will share and sometimes they will not. Is this helpful to you as the appraiser?
Yeah, that pending, a lot of times we can't give it a tremendous amount of weight, but there is there is an amount of insight into what the current market trend might be, and also, where these, if they're good comparable properties, where those had sold at, and also can kind of flip that switch in the appraiser's mind that, oh, wait a second, this one went for, that amount too,
Yeah.
where, not that it can give me a tremendous amount of support, but it can definitely, tell me, yeah, the market's really climbing and I got to figure out how to account for it. And we get to use those pendings in our appraisals, and we can actually make some comments in regards to what we heard the sale price was, or that it went in this amount of days. And a lot of times we do have backup in the stats that will tell us that homes are selling 20% over list price or 10% over list price, and so we can make those adjustments to the list price and help support our appraisal.
Yeah.
Even though we can't really stand on it as the only information,
Right.
it can definitely help as additional information.
Right. Yeah, because list price, it's kind of, it doesn't really tell you anything, because a lot of times the agents tend to really underprice in order to attract a lot of buyers initially, or some sellers want to price it right at the value that they want to get. So it's very hard sometimes to just count on, okay, this home sold X amount over asking, that means this is going to sell X amount over asking, but their starting point is different. So,
Exactly. Yeah. It's been a technique of a lot of agents in the South Bay to underlist, and I think even some now are not wanting to get caught if they think that the market's gonna start dropping at some point.
Yeah.
To to make sure that they're not overlisted, because that could be a real issue. With elongated listing times and how people react to, something that's on the market for 30 days. They're wondering what's wrong.
I know.
Rather than figuring out that, hey, this is a bargain, I got to go get it.
Exactly.
So,
It's so funny.
so it's always interesting how the mind works on the buyer in regards to a lot of these situations. The realtors will try to educate their sellers, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
Right. Yeah, it's funny how right now buyers are so conditioned to this so fast pace. They see a new shiny listing, If 3 days later it's still available, they start thinking, what's wrong? If it's 1 week on the market, if you have 2 open houses, it's like already a red flag. Why didn't it sell after 1 open house? Yeah, it's crazy what's going on. So now the best part. What is your prediction or your opinion on the market? What do you think gonna happen in the next year or 2? Are we gonna see some changes, or is it gonna be more balanced? Do you see something already changing as the rates going up?
Yeah, well, I hate to predict, actually. It's really kind of a crazy thing that because the market is always going, up and down, like I mentioned before, that it's a little bit like your stock, where, little things can kind of move it this way and that way. And I think currently we have a situation in the South Bay where we have a lack of available homes for sale. The interest rates are still relatively low. And I think also that there's a tremendous amount of cash, possibly from people selling off their recent stock.
Yeah.
And so thinking that the stock market might be dropping soon.
Yeah.
So when they go out after the Super Bowl is over and they have time to go look at a house, and they find what they like, the hole starts burning in their pocket, and they're paying a little extra to get the house. And I think once, possibly when we start to have the numbers increase and the amount of homes that are on the market, interest rates possibly climbing a little bit more, and that can have a pretty strong effect on the market. Although, sometimes it's not enough. I don't think we're having anything like 2008 that's going to happen. I think there's a tremendous amount of strong buyers.
Yeah.
They
so many jobs out there, right? And so many.
Yeah, everybody's got a job, and they're all qualified buyers, and the people that are currently in homes are qualified individuals. So it's a lot different than something like that. So I don't I don't see anything like that happening.
Yeah.
But you can see a 5% decrease or a 10% decrease. But then just like we had in the last few months, where we have a 15% increase. So so sometimes it's just like I mentioned, it's like stock, where it goes up 10% and drops 10%, and we'll just see how it plays out. Of course, over the long term scenario, it'll probably continue to rise.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's true. That's that's what pretty much my conversation with most buyers, that if you're buying your primary residence and you're planning to hold it and live there for at least 7 years, you're not going to lose. You're definitely going to go up.
I think quite a bit of the appreciation that's happened, recently has been some of the inflationary situation as well. And so owning the home is an inflation hedge, which will only help you in the long run with your own finances.
Right. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. It was very insightful. I hope everybody would, learn something and take something from this. There's so much good information, so many nuggets. I appreciate you taking this time. And I will be posting David's information. He is local here in San Jose, in South Bay. He knows this market better than anyone, probably. He's been around for so long, longer than many of us been in real estate and being alive, maybe. So anything you want to know about home values, if you need appraisal for any reason, this is your person. Thank you, David.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you. Bye.